Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Still Guns, and welcome to the Weapons of Dead Space. For 10 long years now, I have been an outright fan of this series, and it pains me that there hasn't been a new one in, well, 6 years now. Seriously, the Dead Space 3 released 6 years ago, just a few days ago. However, just because it hasn't had a new release in 6 years doesn't mean I'd like people to forget about it. And so that's why I'm making this series on the weapons of Dead Space. Dead Space is unique when it comes to its weapons, as most of them, at least in the first two games, are not weapons by design. They're mining tools that have been repurposed and are generally a lot more effective than purpose-built weapons like the pulse rifle and the bullpup rifle. Out of all of these improvised dismemberment tools, none is quite so iconic or versatile as that of the plasma cutter. It's the first weapon you obtain in Dead Space 1 and 2, and one of two that you're given right at the beginning of Dead Space 3. The Dead Space plasma cutter differs from a real-life plasma cutter quite markedly. A real-life plasma cutter uses a jet of hot plasma to cut through metals, typically steel and brass, and they also tend to be rather large and bulky, impossible to carry one by yourself. In Dead Space, all that has been compacted into a handheld package, and instead of a jet of plasma, a constant stream, it instead fires a bolt of ionized plasma that is rather effective at cutting through soft mineral deposits. However, when used against something more pliable, such as a human limb, the impact causes a lot less damage than one would think, taking several shots to cut through arms or legs, something that sounds a lot like a safety feature. However, when upgraded with power nodes or circuits, a plasma cutter can be very effective and can kill necromorphs in only a few shots, making it one of the go-to weapons for survivors of necromorph infestations. There are three main variants of the plasma cutter that appear in the Dead Space series. In the middle, the Schofield Tools 211V plasma cutter, the variant used aboard the USG Ishimura, and also refurbished 211Vs were also available aboard Titan Station, where one of them was used by Ellie Langford. On the left is the improvised plasma cutter created by Isaac Clarke during the Titan Station outbreak, constructed using a pistol grip flashlight and a medical plasma cutter. Despite its improvised nature, this weapon was as powerful as a refurbished plasma cutter. Finally, on the right is a Sovereign Colonies era plasma cutter, built out of a compact frame and a rotator cuff module. This tool bears a passing resemblance to the 211V, and is entirely likely an earlier Schofield Tools model. All three versions do have similar stats. They each have a default ammunition capacity of 10, and a default damage of 10, though the stats on Dead Space 3 are not exactly known. Maximum ammunition capacity is 20 on Dead Space 1 and 2, but on Dead Space 3 you can get at least up to 26 rounds. The power node upgrade path on both 1 and 2 is exactly the same, save for one addition on 2. The special power node slot that sets whatever the plasma bolt hits on fire. This same effect can be recreated in Dead Space 3 using the Flame Glaze attachment. As the upgrade path is exactly the same on both 1 and 2, they both take a similar amount of power nodes to fully upgrade, 17 on 1 and 18 on 2. The plasma cutter has become the iconic Dead Space weapon, not just because of its prominent place in the game's marketing, but also owing to its versatility and usefulness. You can quite easily play both the first and second games using nothing but the plasma cutter. The feat is still possible on Dead Space 3, but it is a lot harder owing to the relative underpoweredness of the compact frame weapons. Not only that, but the way that the rotator cuff module works, not as a part of the plasma cutter itself, but as a separate lower tool, giving you at best 3 different tools to use against necromorphs. However, should you wish to play Dead Space 3 using just a bog standard plasma cutter, they should be fairly easy to create. If a blueprint for it does not exist, then you can easily recreate it using a compact frame, a plasma core using the default tip, and the rotator cuff module as the lower tool. Attachments and circuits are player choice, though I would recommend using an acid bath. Those are really quite effective. And that just about wraps everything up. I've neglected to mention the other Dead Space 3 plasma cutter variants, the plasma disperser, plasma repeater, and the planet cracker, as those will be going in a video for Dead Space 3 exclusive tooltips, alongside things like the galvanizer and the bolas gun and the lightning gun. The next video will be on the pulse rifle. Let me know if there's anything I can do to improve this series. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, good night.
fucking thing!